Our movie today begins with the old lady, who is busy dividing the house with plaster, so the new student coming to live with her will know the boundaries from the start. She doesn't really like people and only deals with them out of necessity. She doesn't want any headaches. She uses the division as a way to teach him what personal space means. She marks the house with 3 colors: blue for his area, red for forbidden zones, and yellow for neutral ground they both can use. Of course, crossing these boundaries is absolutely not allowed. When the student arrives, he's completely confused. Why is everything split in half, even the fridge and stove? Still, he takes it in stride and doesn't intend to cause any trouble. That is, until he finds out he's not allowed to use the bathroom at home and must rely on public restrooms. He reluctantly agrees, since he has nowhere else to go. He's part of a program that pairs university students with senior citizens for shared housing, like surrogate grandchildren to keep the elders company. Unfortunately, his luck just put him with the toughest one. After settling in, he goes to university, where his wealthy friend mocks him, asking, "If you need the bathroom at midnight, where will you go? Better find another place. There are plenty of furnished flats." The student just laughs it off, saying he'll move if the friend pays his rent. After classes, he heads to his part-time job, cleaning up after people who barbecue, along with another friend. It's exhausting work, but they take anything that comes their way. They desperately need every penny. At the end of the day, they're completely drained, barely making it home before sunrise. Before leaving, his friend asks if he's seen a guy named Doi. The student says no, not for a long time. His friend warns him not to lend Doi any money if he shows up, since he's gone down a bad path and never pays back. The next morning, the student is woken by loud banging. The old lady reminds him it's cleaning day. He must clean his area and the neutral zone. No excuses. Despite his irritable bowel syndrome that forces him to rush to the public bathroom repeatedly, he pushes through. After finishing, she softens a bit, letting him join her for breakfast. She asks where he usually eats. He answers, the cafeteria, or sometimes from the supermarket. She scoffs, telling him that instant noodles will dry up his stomach, and offers to cook him proper homemade meals for $5 a plate, with the first one free. What he doesn't know is that she doesn't buy food at all. The local association gives free meals to seniors daily, which she collects for herself and her friend, then repackages to sell him at $5 each. She also frequents free clinics to grab medicines she never uses, her motto being, "If it's free, take it." We leave that aside and follow the student, who plans to go to the cinema with his friend since he has no shift. Suddenly, he gets a call from a woman who needs someone to watch her dog while she travels. Being kind-hearted and unable to refuse anyone, he agrees, even though pets aren't allowed in the old lady's house. She doesn't tolerate humans, let alone a dog. Still, he takes the animal without thinking of the consequences. He spends the whole day with the dog on the streets, imagining he'll sneak it inside unnoticed. But the dog barks non-stop, alerting the whole building. He has no choice but to show it to the old lady, who slams the door in his face. Undeterred, he begs, explaining it's only for 3 days. The owner's mother is sick and dying after an accident. She scolds him harshly, saying he's burdening himself with everyone else's problems and will live miserably that way. But in the end, she relents, agreeing to keep the dog, though not out of kindness. She charges him, reminding him nothing is free in her world. The student is thrilled and showers her with gratitude. The next day, he buys food for the dog, cares for it more attentively than its owner, and entrusts it to the old lady before heading to class. She barely tolerates them, locking herself in her room while leaving the dog in the living room, only coming out when it whines from hunger. Later, we see him rushing back from university to walk the dog, but on the way he encounters Madame Seo, the old lady's friend, happily strolling to the cinema with her student tenant, treating him like a true grandson. It makes him realize that maybe only his own landlady is so heartless. When he gets home, he spends the evening joyfully playing with the dog. It feels like he's finally found something to cheer him up. The next day, he leaves the dog again with the old lady before class. But this time she begins to warm up, even cradling it on her lap and playing with it. At night, she goes for a walk to clear her head, only to run into him coming back with the dog, also out for its walk. So she says to him, "What is this? Have I bewitched you or what? Do I find you everywhere I go, like my shadow?" Anyway, after the 3 days pass, Han takes the dog back to its owner. Strangely, she's moved because she had gotten used to it, but she puts on a tough face, telling him she was sick of both the dog and him. Still, once he leaves, she sits sadly, realizing she'll be alone again. Han returns the dog and gives the girl a few tips on how to raise it properly since he's now experienced. She tells him she'll call if she runs into trouble, admitting it's her first time raising a dog and she doesn't really know what to do. A few days later, Yujin wants to take her dog out and calls Han to join her. He's thrilled, secretly liking her but too shy to admit it. He even combs his hair for the occasion, proud to finally have something to style. But Tai, his playful friend, won't leave him alone, insisting on tagging along to see who Han is trying to impress. Meanwhile, the old lady continues her routine, university reading for her professor, then getting changed to go back to work after a 3-day break. She goes to collect recyclables from her usual street, only to find another man has already started picking there. Furious, she confronts him, claiming the street is hers. She tells him that what he's doing is theft, that if she trespassed in his area, he'd raise hell. The man says he didn't know, insisting he just found things on the curb, not from her. But she snaps, saying the shop waste on that street is always hers, and orders him never to show his face there again. She takes back her cardboard boxes and at the end of the day hauls them to the dump to sell, for a pitiful amount, given the backbreaking effort. That night she visits her friend, only to find her complaining bitterly about her son, who never checks on her. She says she fell seriously ill late one night last week, nearly dying, and when she called him for help, all he did was send an ambulance instead of coming himself. The old lady shrugs it off, saying, "At least he sends you money every month. You don't need to work at your age. Be happy with that, but nothing ever pleases you. I don't want to hear your whining again." Hours later, Han comes home only to discover that Doi had been asking around until he tracked him down. Han tries to brush him off, saying he's broke. Doi plays hurt, saying he just came to see his old friend. Since it's late, he asks to crash with him. Han refuses, saying the old lady he lives with hates people and will never allow it, but Doi pressures him, promising they'll slip in quietly at night and leave early in the morning. Han, too kind to say no, finally agrees. Things spiral quickly when Doi sneaks into the bathroom and fate strikes. Just then, the old lady wakes up and catches him. Enraged, she throws them both out. Doi runs off while Han chases him, giving him every penny he has so he can rent a place for the night. Han then returns to apologize, thinking the matter is settled. But the old lady is still furious, accusing him of bringing in strangers to rob her. Han defends his friend, insisting he did nothing wrong except use the bathroom. She exaggerates, calling them a gang and ordering him to leave within 2 days. This time Han snaps, shouting back that he'll go. He tells her she's impossible. He can't eat, drink, or even relieve himself in peace. "No one could stand living with you for 3 minutes, let alone 3 months, he says. The next day, Han drags himself to university, not knowing where to go afterward. Rain pours down, making his situation worse. Meanwhile, the old lady pushes her cart in the storm. Her cardboard boxes get soaked and fall, and a man in a car behind her picks a fight. He even shoves her. Han, passing by, sees this and rushes to defend her. The fight ends with both men dragged to the police station. There, the officer asks for their IDs and tells Han to call family to bail him out. Han stays silent. The officer pulls up his record and discovers Han is an orphan with no living relatives. This shocks the old lady. She never knew. She steps forward, telling the officer he lives with her and she can vouch for him, which the officer interprets as her being his grandmother. Meanwhile, the video of the man attacking her is played, and the officer berates him, praising Han as brave and saying he was, lucky not to be buried on the spot. When they return home, the old lady cooks a meal to mend things between them. They eat together, apologizing for the misunderstanding, and finally patch things up. The next day, Han goes to work with his friend, telling him what happened with Doi. His friend scolds him for not listening. He'd warned him never to trust Doi. Forget about the money. You'll never see it again. After work, they eat at their favorite restaurant, reminiscing about their days in the orphanage, envying kids with families who could sit down together over a clean, warm meal. Later, Han brings the old lady a gift, nutritional supplements, noticing her declining health. She's overjoyed and promises to treat him well from now on, recognizing his kind heart. The following day, they go for a walk together. On the way, they bump into Madame Seo and her grandson. They agree to all go to the park the next day for a picnic. Though the old lady pretends to dismiss it as nonsense, deep down she's excited. She starts cooking large amounts of food and sweets to take with them, eager for the outing. The next day, Madame Seo is overjoyed that her friend has finally come out of the shell she had locked herself in. She tells her it's clear that the boy is truly kind because she has changed so much. She hopes she stays this way so they can go out together, enjoy life a little, and see the world before they die. They all sit together, eat, and take pictures. The outing turns out wonderful, lighthearted, and full of joy. But once they return home, the grandmotherly lady slips back into her stern self, giving Han her distilled wisdom about life. She tells him the most important thing is to learn to say no to anything he doesn't like, to never sacrifice himself just to make others happy, to never let anyone exploit him, and to enjoy his present as much as he can so he won't regret it when he's old. When Han begins applying her advice, he feels his life improve drastically. He even has more free time to do things that truly benefit him. One day, Doi shows up again, asking for more money. This time, Han refuses and angrily tells him to pay back what he already owes before asking for anything else. He lashes out, calling him shameless. Meanwhile, the old lady, who hides her savings in a metal box in her closet, visits Madame Seo and finds her sitting alone, flipping through old photos of her children, feeling lonely. She brings her food to cheer her up. Later that night, when she returns home, she finds Han leaving her room. Alarmed, she demands to know what he was doing there. He says he was cleaning and tidied her room as well. She rushes inside to check her metal box and finds it missing. Panicked, she searches Han's room and discovers the box in his drawer, empty. Both are stunned. Han swears he never saw it before, but she doesn't believe him and throws him out. As he sits outside in shock, Doi suddenly bolts away upon seeing him. Suspicious, Han chases him, tackles him, and forces the truth out. Doi confesses that he took the money because he was desperate. He had scammed people at the market and was about to be jailed. Han drags him back to the old lady's home, where Doi returns the money and apologizes. Han also apologizes for all the trouble caused. Then he leaves with his friend. Later, in a bar, Doi reminisces about when they were kicked out of the orphanage after finishing high school at 20 years old. He thought the $500 given to him then was enough, not realizing it would vanish on rent for a rooftop room, leaving him homeless. He tells Han he played it smart by going to university, since people always admire the model student. Han admits he did it to feel loved, something he never had as an orphan. He hoped bullying would stop at university, but it didn't. Every time his classmates spoke of their families, he had no answer, and it reminded him he was still an orphan. Drunk and emotional, he even tells his friends about his orphanage upbringing. To his relief, they don't pity him. They tell him it's no shame and admire him for working hard to support himself. While with them, Han gets a call that Madame Seo has passed away. He rushes to her funeral, where he finds the old lady, devastated. The next day, Seo's children ransack her apartment, looking for valuables and bitter that she never gave them her money while alive. Finding nothing, they tell the cleaners to burn everything. The old lady protests, insisting they at least keep a framed photo that meant a lot to their mother. They dismiss her, shove her aside, and in the struggle, a check hidden behind the frame falls out. Meanwhile, Han is packing to leave when he overhears the old lady talking, almost to herself, but really to him. She tells her story. Her family was so poor, she had to go work in Germany, where she earned a good living and even fell in love. But she discovered the man was already married and lying to her, so she left. Returning home, she found her father had drunk away their savings, and her mother had died of depression. Overwhelmed, she once considered suicide, but never went through with it. Since then, she lived alone, bitter toward men. Han sits with her and shares his own painful story, how he was abandoned on the steps of a church as a baby, without a name or birth date. The orphanage gave him both, with his birthday being the day he was found. After a long silence, she suggests, "Why don't we live as a real family? I can be your grandmother." She even reveals she graduated from German language studies. A few days later, the Housing Association holds a small ceremony announcing the formation of their first official family under the Senior Student Housing Program. Han and Madame Yun sign their papers as family and from then on live together in comfort and joy. Madame Yun transforms from a bitter, misanthropic woman into a cheerful and compassionate soul. She begins volunteering to care for orphans daily and donates medicine to poor seniors. Finally, she even goes to the bank to donate all her savings to orphans, realizing true happiness is in sharing, and that seeing children happy will make her happy too. And that's where the movie ends. If you made it this far, don't forget to like the video, leave us a kind comment as always, and if this is your first time with us, subscribe to catch all the upcoming summaries. Peace.